I didn't even know how I got you on here, but I thank you for being here.
Of course. Do you need? I can go ahead and go, so you can go ahead and get that set up.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, it was nice talking with
You
you.
too, and do well. Great success to you.
Thank you. You
All
too.
righty. Good evening, everyone. We are live. It is Tuesday night. That means it's time to go live. And I am really multitasking here. So if you see me looking here and yonder, don't worry about it. I'm on TikTok live as well tonight. So welcome in, everybody. Hello, hello, and hello. Oh, some of this stuff is sold out. I'm trying to multitask, but it's okay. It's going to work. All right, let me put this down. Hello to you, my TikTok fans, and hello everyone here on Tuesday night live. I am so glad to see you. Please let me know down in the chat where you are viewing from. And I have a very, 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 very important question for you. When is your next cruise? Don't let that be too long, you know? I don't like that to be more than a couple of months, if possible. I see those hearts and I see those likes. Thank you so much. My next cruise is in less than 60 hours. Yeah, by let me think about what day. By Friday I'll be on a cruise ship. I'm so excited about it. I'm always excited about getting on a cruise ship. So just a few short hours. Have I packed? No. Have I decided what I'm going to wear? No. Do I probably need to wash some things? Probably. So, um, you know, it's all a process, but that's no problem. We can do this. How are you doing this evening? How are you doing? Let me know. Let me know. I am doing great. It has been a busy, busy day. I went to court today, and not court like that. I was invited to go to court because there is a proclamation that I am the manager over. November, just in case you didn't know, is National Caregivers Month. November is also National Alzheimer's Disease Month. And so I work in the field and industry of education and teaching, especially for older adults, having to do with Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. So I was invited to go to court today to do to be there for a proclamation to stand and just give a little bit of discussion about what we do. So that's a formal process and had to be there really early, downtown Dallas and all this stuff. That was a little stressful, but that's over now. I came back and had some meetings, had to get some reports, and now it's time for the fun stuff, the stuff that I really enjoy doing, and that's cruise talk. Thank you so much for joining, Jay. Thank you so much for joining, A. Thank you for joining. We're doing cruise news, cruise talk. We're talking ship, and I have the 5 worst cruise mistakes that you can make. So stick around and let me know where you're cruising. I said where you're cruising from, where you are viewing from, and when is your next cruise. I'm going to jump right into it because if I don't, I will run out of time. So I'm looking both ways. I see you. All right, we're going to do our first cruise news story for today, and it's about Disney Cruise Lines. Let me look it up. Their brand new ship. Have any of you ever sailed on Disney Cruise Lines? I have not yet. My son and daughter-in-law will probably be the first to get on there, and then I'll just probably like insert myself in. Who knows? But I haven't been on Disney yet, but I'm certainly looking forward to it. So here is the news from Disney. The new Disney cruise ship arrives in Florida ahead of the maiden voyage. Brand new ship, straight off the gate, and it's arriving. Let me tell you about it. It says less than 1 year since launching the Disney Treasure from Port Canaveral, Florida, Disney Cruise Line just welcomed their brand new ship, the Disney Destiny. And this one went to Orlando, Florida. It says the Destiny is not quite ready to welcome passengers yet, and it won't offer cruises from Port Canaveral. The ship's arrival to Florida is still a major milestone towards the highly anticipated maiden voyage, which will be November 20th. Anybody on that maiden voyage of the Disney Destiny, November 20th, that's what, 3 weeks away? No, less than 3 weeks away will be November 20th. Wow. The cruise line's first heroes and villains themed cruise. That sounds exciting. The Disney Destiny will offer families a one of a kind cruise vacation when it kicks off this new inaugural sailing. So that's really exciting. But it already has arrived in Florida to great fanfare. Um, I have been before. Have you ever been to like the arrival? You go to a port for the arrival of a new ship or even an old ship, but a brand new one. It is so exciting. It is electric. There are cruise nerds and cruise enthusiasts who are there waiting with cameras and backpacks and sitting out. It's so exciting, that buzz, that anticipation of a new ship, and you go and you see it arrive that very first time in the cruise terminal. That was so much fun. So I am sure that they got a treasure, pun intended, because it's called the Disney Treasure. Yeah. So it is arriving, and their inaugural sailing will be November 20th. It does say the ship needs to complete final preparations for the hero worthy vacations ahead, and it's not official just yet. Let's see. They just got finished doing a 2-week transatlantic voyage from the shipyard. Those are so nice. If you ever, when a new ship is being built, or when they're repositioning them, or when they go into dry dock and the ship goes over, overseas somewhere, overseas, they're all overseas, but they go to one of the shipbuilders to get refitted, or they're brand new. And then they come from that area, wherever it is, usually somewhere over in Italy, and they come here, those transatlantic voyages. Oh my gosh, they're really highly anticipated. And you usually can get them for a great price. I was offered, now this is a casino deal, but I was just offered a 13-day transatlantic cruise from Port Canaveral to Barcelona for free. That's the best price. Free 99. That's the price for me. Yes, please. And if it wasn't for the fact that I couldn't get away right now, I'd be on that ship. Now, let's be honest. Free does not mean free when it comes to a free cruise. As a travel advisor, I don't want to mislead you. You still have to pay, but it's substantially reduced. You have to pay the port fees and taxes. And then of course they want you to pay the gratuities, whatever that is. Gratuities, though, is very personal, and I've had a story before telling you about that, but at least the port taxes and fees, but for a substantially cheaper price. I could probably do a 13-day transatlantic for like $300. Whew, the opportunities we get. All right. So it says more than 250 Disney cast members joined Hero Mini in welcoming the Disney Destiny to Florida to mark this milestone. This is going to be an exciting ship. I would love for you to let me know in the comments. Are you a Disney Cruise Line fan? And if so, no. And if not, why? What is it that would make you not be that Disney Cruise Line fan? I haven't tried it out yet, but I will. I will. That is cruise story number 1. There we go. Make sure this is all set up here. How's everybody doing tonight? Very good. Did I tell you I'll be on a cruise ship in just a little bit? I didn't tell you which cruise ship, though. But if you've been watching me, because I've been talking about it to everybody. I was invited through my travel agency to do this special visit or voyage on the MSC Seascape, and I am so excited. I am so excited. Have I been on the Seascape before? Yes. Am I ready to get back on it again? Absolutely. MSC ships are beautiful. I don't care what anybody tells you about MSC. You check it out for yourself. If you are a cruise enthusiast, check MSC out for yourself and let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts about MSC because I think they are a great brand. You just have to have your expectations, manage your expectations, and I think you'll have a spectacular cruise. I did. It was great. And it was my first solo cruise. So that was really great. All right, on to the next story. And this isn't a happy story. This is not a happy story at all, but I'm going to tell it to you. You might have heard about Coral Expedition. And if you haven't, Coral Expedition was taking this 60-day cruise like through Australia mostly. It's this smaller cruise line that does expeditions, meaning they stop at places and you get out and explore a lot more. It's that type of ship. Well, they were doing a 60-day cruise when a terrible tragedy happened. So if you don't know, let me tell you what is going on. there was a passenger on the ship named Suzanne Reese. And Miss Reese is 80 years old. So she became stranded during the cruise's first stop at Lizard Island. And this happened on October 25th. So, like a week, 2 weeks ago, right? She was traveling solo and she was out hiking and snorkeling on this tour there in Lizard Island. And then she became separated from the rest of the tour group. Now, what was heard was she felt sick. She started to feel sick, and they were like, well, you should probably go back to the cruise ship. And then somehow she got separated from the rest of the group there. All right, so the cruise tour is over. Everybody goes back to their ship. They close the doors, they sail away. But Miss Reese was not on that ship. So once they realized she had not come back to the ship, she had not made it back to the ship, they turned around and went back. And unfortunately, they found her, but she was deceased. Now, I don't have all of the details. They're not giving all of the details, like what exactly happened. They just said that when they came back, she was deceased. So this is the next part to this very tragic story. Okay. The Australian cruise line has decided to cut short the rest of this cruise. Remember, this is a 60-day cruise, and this was only October 25th, so they're only about maybe 15 or 20 days into this cruise, and the people on board have now been told the cruise is being cut short. Let me read it to you. The Australian cruise line cut short its inaugural 60-day voyage around the land down under after mistakenly leaving one of its elderly passengers on a remote island where she passed away. Coral Expeditions, and that company owns the ship, which was called Coral Adventurer, or is called Coral Adventurer, which cruises around Australia, announced on Saturday, so just a couple of days ago, that the remainder of its trip was axed due to the tragic passing of Suzanne Reese and also previous mechanical issues that they seem to be having on this cruise ship. Once again, it doesn't give much more details about exactly what happened. They just said here that an anonymous tip said the ship was having big problems before the trip even began, including something that went wrong with the engine. And then it seemed to happen again even after the incident with Miss Reese. So tragic. This is terrible. It's a terrible situation, and I'm not trying to minimize that at all, but I want to talk now a little bit more about after. I don't know how they mistakenly left a passenger there. I still don't know how that happened. But if you were one of the remaining passengers, this ship holds around 120 passengers. So if you were one of the remaining passengers and then you got the notice that the cruise is being canceled, what would your feeling be now? What they are doing is they're getting planes to get everybody off that ship and to wherever you need to go to. So it's a lot of expense on their part to end this cruise and get everybody back to where, they need to go. But it's terrible. It's like the old saying, insult to injury. This is terrible. That happens, and now the cruise is over. Only about 15 to 20 days into this 60-day trip. So that is terrible. Has anybody ever wanted to do like an expedition kind of cruise? Maybe not like the big ocean liners like Royal and Carnival, but the smaller expedition cruises. You can go places where the big ships can't. You spend more time in ports. You go to different ports that usually the big ships don't go to. That's the big connection. That's the big, thing when it comes to expedition cruises. You have a smaller amount of people, more staff ratio, and you go to the places that other ships just can't go, and you stay longer. Yeah. All right. I hate to hear that, but I did want to tell you about this because this is the second part to what's going on there in the cruise. In cruise news. So I did want to take a moment before I move on to the next cruise news story to say hello and welcome you all. Of course, I do this every Tuesday night, but I haven't done it on TikTok before. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to let you know that I have a cruise essential in my TikTok shop. If you're about to go on a cruise, and we talked about this last week, I opened up my cruise bag and I asked you if this was a maybe, a meh, or a must have? What are some of your must haves that are in your cruise bag? And I showed you things like, I'm sorry, cruise magnets. I said cruise magnets. They're just, magnets to hang your things up. Was that a must have, a maybe, or a meh? I showed you things like the approved, making sure it's approved for cruises so you can have some more space to plug in all of the things that must be plugged in. I mean, it just had everything in there. Cruise essentials. I had cruise magnets. Is that an essential? Of course not. Is it cute? Yeah. Cruise magnets. I am a vlogger. I have channels, so I have to have good mics. So this is really small, but really powerful. And when you're talking on this, you can hear it. It muffles some of that other sound, other noise. Do you carry anything like this? How about your headphones? Do these go with you? Is that a must have? Especially if I'm on a flight. I'm the type of person that I don't necessarily want to talk when I'm sitting next to other people. I'm not, nothing. I'd just rather go to sleep or chill. So these especially. Um, your floppy hat or a hat at all. Is this a must have or maybe a meh? Do you take your water bottle? Yeah. So these are all in my cruise essentials. Check out the TikTok shop, and I want to know. Let me know. Are those must have, maybes, or mez? I had a whole bunch of others. How about the necklace? This is one of my favorite necklaces right now. I got this out of the TikTok shop, and I bought this for my. Shh, don't tell anybody, for my granddaughters for Christmas. It's less than $12, I think it is, free shipping. These are so cute. Look at them. They sparkle, and I get more compliments for this thing than much more expensive jewelry. All right. So I wanted to tell you, check out the TikTok shop before I move on to the next cruise news story. And I do remember I am going to tell you about the 5 worst mistakes you can make on your cruise that can just like ruin the whole thing. We're going to talk about it as well. All right. Let's talk about Norwegian cruise lines for a little bit here. Norwegian. So, and I have a couple of stories for Norwegian. Let me just talk to you about the first one. Norwegian cruise ship diverted to rescue dozens of people near the Greek island. Now, we hear this all the time. Cruise ships, anytime that there is a mayday, a rescue, they are, they will respond. They will respond, break out of their little cruising uh, track that they're on. They have to respond to help people. Well, Norwegian Cruise Lines has responded in a big way to a bunch of people. Let me tell you this story. Norwegian Cruise Line ship brought on board over 60 people in the Ionian Sea as part of a rescue operation with the Greek authorities. And this was aboard the Norwegian Epic. Anybody ever been on the Norwegian Epic? The ship that I went on for Norwegian, it has been so long ago that ship's not even around anymore. So it is definitely time for me to go check out another Norwegian cruise. So I don't know. Everybody, please tap down, and let people know. I forgot to say, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, tap down, give me some hearts, let people know we are here and it's a good place to be. All right. So the Norwegian Epic reportedly responded to a distress call from the Hellenic Coast Guard to help bring 63 individuals to safety on October 22nd. So this was about 2 weeks ago. The Greek authorities and the cruise line have not identified the group of people rescued roughly about 75 miles southwest of Zakynthos. I'm sure I did not say that right, but I'm not Greek, so you could forgive me for messing up Greek. Zakynthos Islands. I don't know. The vessel departed Chivichet. Okay, slow down, Cynthia. Rome. Civitavecchia. Say that fast 3 times. Rome on October 21st for an 11-day round trip Greek Isles with stops in Santorini, Mykonos, and Cannes. So the Norwegian Epic, and 2 thumbs up to you. They altered their course to assist with this rescue mission. With the port call at Santorini was completely canceled because they had to do this rescue mission. Norwegian said in a statement to USA Today the individuals were brought on board and tended to by the ship's crew. who provided medical evaluation, food, and other items for their comfort. Yeah. Now the ship proceeded to Kalamata, Greece, where the rescued individuals were all turned over to the Greek authorities. So, how would you feel about your ship rescuing people? I mean, you'd be like, yay! And you get to maybe watch that and see that. That would be like, then I'm just being real. I'm asking you, how would you feel if then after that, one of your port stops was canceled? Wouldn't you feel good though that they did something good, something, in this world and in these days and times, we all need to have something good happen or do something good. So that is what happened there to Norwegian Epic. Tell me, anybody been on the Norwegian Epic? What are your thoughts about that one? Yeah. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've been on a Norwegian cruise ship, and I know they have changed dramatically since then. So it's time to get back on another Norwegian, and I definitely will do that. Before I get to the next cruise news story, I need you to give me some hearts, give me some likes, tap down on that, get your daily heart me's, and let people know. Share this out with anybody who would be interested in cruising, cruise news, anything of that nature, or you want to hear about the 5 worst mistakes that you can make for your cruise. Share this out. And thank you again for joining me tonight. So I'm going to get over here and start you off with one of those mistakes that we can make. Yeah, this one, I'm calling this the budget breaker. And we all usually set a budget. I don't care how much money you have. You're not going to just spend every penny you got, right? We set a budget when we go on these cruises. Well, this is definitely something that if you make this mistake, it will break, burst, explode your budget. This is forgetting to put your phone on airplane mode at all times when you're at sea. Has it ever happened to any of you? I think one time it happened to my mom, and I think she yelled, she screamed, she let out a scream. Yeah. To come back home after you have a wonderful cruise experience and get a phone bill that has a bunch of zeros after it is no bueno. No bueno. We don't want to do that. So astronomical roaming charges can happen to you if you forget to put your phone on airplane mode. Your phone will connect to the ship's expensive maritime network or connect to a foreign tower far offshore, resulting in a phone bill in the hundreds or even thousands of dollars when you get home. So just as a reminder, turn on that airplane mode immediately when you board that ship. Once maybe you get on the ship and do like I do. I call my grandkids and I show them around and call people and let them know I'm on there while we're still docked. But before that ship sails off, airplane mode it is. So don't let your budget be busted and broken. Don't let it happen to you. Make sure to turn that phone to airplane mode. Has this ever happened to anybody? Has it ever gotten you? I hope not, because that's not good. That's a no bueno. Speaking of no buenos, we all know what happened recently, right? And I'm talking about the weather with Hurricane Melissa and the havoc that it wreaked in the Caribbean, especially in Jamaica and Cuba and areas like that. There was devastation there, widespread devastation, loss of lives. And right now, Jamaica is trying to do their very best to rebuild because, a lot of these places there, their main industry that they're making their money is the travel industry. So when we're not there, they're not able to have us come in, that's money that they're not able to make. So they're really pushing. Jamaica sent a notice that by December 15th, they would be ready to have cruise passengers come back again. And we're rooting for them. We really are. It was widespread devastation because of Hurricane Melissa. And I want to tell you about some cruise lines who are doing another good thing. So we have first we have Royal Caribbean we're going to talk about, and then we're going to talk about Carnival. So the first Royal Caribbean cruise ship to deliver aid and supplies and relief to Jamaica. So that was the Rhapsody of the Seas. It is delivering more than 120 pallets of relief supplies to Falmouth, Jamaica. The ship's deliveries coincide with a planned port visit on Tuesday, November 4th, but guests will not depart. So the way it's happening, they're still going to go to Falmouth, but no passengers will get off. It's just going to be the relief efforts there, which I think is pretty cool. The supplies will be distributed as relief packages to regions that need assistance the most. So this happened on today, Tuesday, November 4th. While the port of call was originally on the ship's itinerary for November 2nd departure, Jamaica's ports all right now are remaining closed for tourism following this devastation of Hurricane Melissa. So I'm thinking this is wonderful. I love seeing something good. You know, when you hear the news, a lot of times it's all bad, it makes you have nightmares. It's nothing that you want to talk about. It's like, pfft. So, let me see. There we go. Sorry. Give me a second here. Got to make sure I'm doing this all right. And thank you so much once again for joining me tonight. If I haven't said hello, because that's so rude for somebody to come into your house and you don't speak. So good evening to you all and welcome to Live tonight. So very good. And kudos to you, Rhapsody of the Seas. Kudos to you, Royal Caribbean. Once again, how would it make you feel if you were on a cruise ship and you were going to Jamaica and then this happened and then you go, but you're not allowed to get off, but they're delivering out all of that relief? I would feel great. I think that would be so cool. So kudos to you, Royal Caribbean. Now, Carnival has also, let me find, I have all of this set up. So and sometimes it freezes on me, but Carnival Horizon is also delivering aid. Let me pull that up while I say hello. So Carnival Horizon has gone to Ocho Rios. So Rhapsody of the Seas went over to Falmouth and Carnival is going to Ocho Rios. So let me tell you about that story. It says the Carnival Horizon made a short relief call on Tuesday, once again today, in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, and delivered thousands of supplies to support Hurricane Melissa relief efforts across the island. Items which included of things like bottled water, baby food, diapers, canned goods, cereal, and hygiene supplies were all delivered to Jamaica's Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. They were all offloaded with the assistance of the Jamaica Tourism Cares Task Force. And then Jamaican crew members aboard Carnival Horizon assisted with delivering the items. So in addition to the supply delivery on Tuesday, Carnival Corporation partnered with the Miami Heat and the Mickey and Madeline Arison Family Foundation to donate $1 million to direct relief to support recovery efforts. And I love hearing that. That's exciting. I'm really glad to hear that. So Jamaica has long since been a place where cruise ships go. Have you ever been to Jamaica on your cruise? Yeah, or even, maybe not a cruise. People go to Jamaica all the time. They fly into Jamaica, they cruise into Jamaica. People go there. It's a big tourist spot. And if you've ever been there, you want the best for the people. And it's good to see their resilience. It's good to see them being strong and of course, rebuilding. So I'm very glad to see that. $1 million of relief. Now that sounds like a lot of money, right? But I'm sure that's going to go really fast. But kudos to you, Carnival. I like to hear the good stuff. Let me know if you've ever been on the Carnival Horizon. The Horizon is similar to the Panorama and what's the other one? Now it's escaping me, but those are big ships, Carnivals. They're not the biggest in Carnival's fleet, but those are the big ships. And we like that. Good job. Good job. I'm glad to hear it. Okay, before I go over to my next cruise news story, and thank you so much for joining us, I'm going to tell you about another of those 5 worst mistakes that you can make that could just turn your cruise into a nightmare. So the first one was not turning that phone on to airplane mode right away, right? And I call that the budget breaker. Yeah. How about this one? We're calling this the port blunder. Missing the boat. Before I get into it, have you ever been a pier runner? Yeah. Pier runners can serve as entertainment for the cruise. Yeah. So many people sit out on their balconies or go on the Lido deck to watch pier runners. And it seems to be wildly entertaining because there's clapping going on and chants and yelling and telling them to run forest and all that. Pier runners, these are people who might have had this happen to them. Yeah. So this is the port blunder, missing the boat. And the way that you would do this, I'm going to present it to you, is by booking third party non cruise lines excursions. That's not the end of it. And cutting the return time too close. So let me talk to you a little bit about that. As you know, if you are a cruiser, you can take excursions when you get off at these different ports, right? And at first, you might think the only way you can do that is through the cruise line because the cruise line offers, an excursions desk. You can book all kind of fun, exciting, or laid back, cool excursions, wine tasting, snorkeling, cave diving, a mountain climbing. There's all kind of things. As many different kinds of people as are on the ship or excursions that you can book. So you can book those on the ship, but you can also book them on that port with local cruise or local travel companies there to that island or that port. And usually the benefit of doing that is they're much less expensive. The same the same cruise adventure or the I'm sorry, the what am I trying to say? Excursion. I don't know why that slipped. The same excursion that they're going to offer you through the cruise line is the same people who do it there themselves a lot of the times. But because it's through the cruise line, it's marked up a little bit. So it costs more, right? So you start to learn, oh, I can do the same exact excursion for less money. Well, I'm booking it with them. But the only thing is, and this is the big thing, when you book it with a third party, there is no guarantee that they'll get you back on time, right? When you book it with that cruise ship, they guarantee that they won't leave you. If there's some kind of hiccup with that cruise and you book it with them, you're guaranteed they're not going to leave you. So that's what gets us all. We're like, well, I don't want to be left. Well, I'm not booking it with them. I don't trust them. I don't know them. Same people doing the thing. But it's just, they guarantee to get you back in time. So if you are going to book an excursion, not with the cruise line, because we do it all the time. I'm definitely not telling you not to do that. But if you're going to, make sure that you're not cutting it too close. And a lot of times the time is different from the ship to wherever you are. So you got to keep that in mind. Don't lose sight having such a good time on your cruise that you just cut it a little too close. Oh, 30 minutes is enough because wherever they end this tour and drop you off might still be a walk or a tram ride or a bus ride to get you to your ship. So cutting it too close, and now you're doing the sprints there. You're trying out for the track team to get onto that ship. No, thank you. Don't do it. If your private tour is late, the ship will sail without you. They will not wait, leaving you stranded in a foreign country. You are then responsible for the cost and logistics of reaching that next port. So, what do? Make sure that if you're going to book third party, you're not going to book with the cruise line. There's a wide berth of time, wide berth of time. And they want you to book with them, these third party companies. So they have a, vested interest in you making sure that you don't miss the ship and then telling everybody and nobody ever books a tour with them. So they want to get you back on time and make sure it's a good time so that you can tell other people this was a great try them. So they really want to work with you, but just make sure you're not cutting it too close because that can ruin the trip for you. Nobody wants to be left when you're not prepared to be left. Yeah. If you're prepared to stay on an island or a port, that's one thing, but don't leave me. Don't leave me. Okay. Let me tell you this story. Once again, a little icky. If you have a weak stomach, you might want to turn away right now because this story is, well, gross a little bit, but I need to tell you this. Cruise line sued. And why were they sued? I mean, that's nothing new. They get sued all the time. Even though it says in our cruise contract that you have to arbitrate. Yeah, I did a whole live one day and I read the cruise contract, and boy, is it eye-opening what we agree to. That's another story. Cruise lines sued over bed bug infestation. Yes. Yes, I did say the cruise line was sued over a bed bug infestation. Gross. Gross. So just think of it. You are on that ship for however many days you've decided, 7, 4, 10, 12, and bed bugs. Let me give you the scoop. Let me tell you about this. According to court reports, a major cruise line, they don't say the name at first, that serves the port of New Orleans, maybe you'll catch it, the port of Galveston, and now the port of Mobile, Alabama, is facing litigation over a bed bug infestation on board. Yuck. And then this picture that I'm looking at, there's a huge bed bug. So I'm not going to show that to you. I just skipped it. It's gross. The suit alleges that guests on a February 2025 sailing experienced bites and discomfort while on an 8-day Southern Caribbean itinerary that sailed from the port of Miami. According to these court documents, the pair of guests who filed the legal action experienced severe itching and insect bites on their arms, legs, and after only being on board for 2 nights. So, 2 nights this started. The suit alleges that as the cruise continued, the bites became more numerous and spread to their shoulders, their hands, and faces. Yuck. It says here the description of the bites seemed to be consistent with how most bed bug encounters are described. So the bites are usually red in color with a raised bump, similar to a mosquito bite, and they're itchy, right? Another sign to look for if you're thinking it could be bed bugs is they seem to form a straight line. Bed bugs tend to bite in a straight line, and it's not uncommon for there to be tiny droplets of blood left on pajamas, on your skin, or even on the sheets or the mattresses. Another dead giveaway. The guests who filed the lawsuit maintained they inspected their stateroom mattress and discovered, now get this is the really gross part, okay? They discovered live bugs, ugh, eggs, yuck, and fecal stains consistent with the insects. So they pulled the sheets, they looked on the little, lips of the mattress and all the places, lifted it up, and this is what they said they found. The pair notified the crew, which we all would do if we see that, but they said the crew did not take any action. Nothing? They didn't even come and change the bed? The pair also say they were not offered accommodations in another stateroom. Now, that part I can understand because if there are no other rooms, there's nothing to offer. I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't know the situation, but the crew definitely should have done something, right? The incident in question took place aboard the Carnival Horizon, the exact same ship that we just gave kudos to for dropping off those supplies. Now, this was a while back. This was in February. The vessel is currently en route to Ocho Rios, Jamaica, which we already know. The vessel has planned stops in Grand Cayman and Cozumel before returning to Miami on November 8th. So as you would expect, cleanliness and pest control on board cruise ships are a very high priority. Carnival Cruise Line has one of the better cleanliness and pest control protocols, actually. Each of their vessels undergoes frequent pest control treatments, and if infestations are discovered, because it does happen, they are neutralized at that time. So the two people who are suing, they're seeking damages related to medical costs, scarring, lost property, because you got to get rid of that stuff because those things stick around, emotional distress, and other ongoing harm related to the incident. What do you think about this? Ever had to deal with bed bugs? I've had to deal with them before. It's a horrible thing. We had everything left, and so did we. It's very, very, very hard to get rid of those disgusting, disgusting things if they ever happen. So I can't even imagine being on a cruise ship and this is what would happen to you. This is all my years of cruising, 21 years, 22 years of cruising. Never, never. What about you? Has any of this ever happened to you? That's absolutely crazy. Yeah. I don't know. Thank you for joining me. I say hello to Sylvia Johnson, 53. I say hello to the boss, to Amelia, to Maria, BFF Tori. Thank you for joining me. I am so glad you were here tonight. I always want to say hi. When somebody comes into my house, you say hello. Thank you for joining me. Let me know if you've ever had to deal with bed bugs. And I've already asked, have you been on the Carnival Horizon? Does that make you think like, oh gosh, I don't ever want to go on the horizon again? I mean, that was a while ago, but I did want to share with you. So it's not a bad idea to, when you go to your cruise cabin, check your mattress. Just, it won't hurt, right? Just check and see what you got there. Yeah. All right. Let me talk to you about Carnival's new ship. I adore hearing about new ships. That just means more options for me, more options for me to travel on. Um, I dig it. I dig it. I want options. We like having choices. So let's talk about one of the newest coming out for Carnival. It is the Carnival Festival. Festival. The Carnival Festival, it says, has a name that echoes one of earlier ships, but this is truly new. It says these features are made to band together to enjoy like a very unique experience, something like we've never seen before. So here is what they have for this ship. It says similar to the Jubilee, it has 6 zones on the ship, including 2 new ones that are music inspired. And it says here incredibly immersive. If you've been on any of the new Carnival ships, they have those areas where you can like get in and touch the stuff and change things. So I'm wondering, when they say incredibly immersive, do they mean something like that? Yeah. You'll find things like the deck spanning Studio 724. And they said this is a multimedia experience featuring unique light and sound effects. Sounds interesting. The Mix, that's another place, brings a producer's touch to any cocktail sipping session, while the Festival delivers the outdoor vibe and variety with its lineup of Pizza Palooza, that's new, and Rhythm and Rolls. I like the name, Rhythm and Rolls Deli. Families will love the open air Sunsation Point. This is the family friendly area with its carnival waterworks. Sorry, Ultra, no, not just Carnival Waterworks, Carnival Waterworks Ultra, and Raft Ride Sun Soaker and Turning Tides. If you see me stumbling over this, I don't ride water rides, so let me say them right. Carnival Works Ultra. No, I still said it wrong. Carnival Waterworks Ultra. There we go. And then there is a raft ride called the Sun Soaker and Turning Tides. Plus a dryer. Oh no, it says plus there are drier ways to play. I'm sorry. But among all that new, it's our pleasure to welcome back the stage fan favorite sip-alongs like the Alchemy Bar, Piano Bar 88, which are fan favorites, the Limelight Lounge, and the all-time Flavor Jams Big Chicken and Swirls Ice Cream. Yeah. Now, one thing it doesn't say that I see on here is Guy's Burger, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be on there. This is coming out for 2027. So we have a little bit of time before the Carnival Festival is here, but they are trying to tempt our palate now, because you can start booking these ships like 2 years ahead. As a travel advisor, yeah, you can. And the earlier the better. You're going to get your pick of rooms. You're going to get probably a much lower entry fee to get onto these ships. So looking ahead 2 years, like the cruise line have already dropped their 2027, and I'm going to talk to you about that because I'm very excited. Some of their 2027 itineraries. So that's another tip. Book as far ahead as you possibly can for the best prices and the best locations on the ship, because location matters. It matters a lot on the ship, and I'm going to talk to you about that. Let's go back to our 5 worst mistakes that you can make so I can tell you about that. What's another one? And it's the rookie cabin choice to go along with, it matters where you stay. Booking the absolute cheapest cabin based on price or a guaranteed cabin on a lower deck, it can actually ruin that cruise for you. There are reasons that cruise cabin is the absolute lowest price. There are reasons. And sometimes we just see the price. I get it. I understand. If you can't pay for it, you can't go, right? But beware. You risk being assigned a cabin with a noisy location. And what do I mean by that? Something like under the theater, under the Lido deck, when they're moving those chairs all day and night. It's happened to us before. Or underneath the galley, you get to smell the food in your room. Yum. And hear all the people. No, thank you. Or how about the gym? You get to hear the weights and the pound. You don't want that. You don't want that, which can ruin sleep and relaxation. Or one with an obstructed view or strange motion, like it's too far forward or too far aft. And either one, you can feel the motion of the ship just a little bit more. If you're prone to seasickness, anything like that, you want the middle. You want inside, like the middle area. Like if there's 20 decks, you want to be like in deck 10, 11, 12, 13. You want to be in the middle, and you want to be in the middle section. You don't want to be aft or forward because you feel more motion. So if you get a guaranteed, they can put you wherever they want to. And you have nothing to say about it. I mean, sure, you can say, hey, can you change my room? I hear the gym, I hear the chairs, but a lot of times they're going to tell you they have nothing available, nothing else. So what can you do? Research deck plans. Even if you're on a budget, have your travel advisor, and they should do this for you anyway. But if not, or if you're doing it yourself, you can always look at the deck plans. And the one thing that you absolutely want to do is have a cabin above you and a cabin below you. This is going to help insulate you from noise and all of that smells, like being around a lounge or something of that. So if you can look at your deck plan. If you're on deck 10, look at deck 11 and see, is there a cabin over you? Look at deck 9 and see, is there a cabin under you? That's going to help a lot. And then things like look to see if that's an obstructed view, or if you're right underneath Lido, or check that. That's one of the things you can do. Yep. And midship for the best stability. So the least expensive is not always the best. If that's the only way you can get entry into the ship, I got you. I understand. We know, but it could be a disaster. Yeah, let me just say that much. All right, I've got three more cruise news stories to share with you. These are doozies. Do you remember the Taylor Swift cruise? It happened back in October of last year, not this year, 2024, the Taylor Swift cruise. You might not remember. If you don't, let me refresh your memory. And if you do, you know that a woman fell off that ship. And when I say fell off, it's always in air quotes, because thank goodness people don't just fall off cruise ships. There's always a reason, there's always something, but she went overboard, right? Well, let me tell you about this. Family of the woman who fell overboard a Royal Caribbean ship sues the cruise line. And let me tell you why she's suing the cruise line. For allegedly over-serving alcohol. Okay. If you've ever been on a cruise, you know that the one thing that they're serving on the cruise ship is alcohol. Every bar is serving it. Every restaurant is serving it. That is another huge money maker. They make way more money off of alcohol sales than they ever have off of the entry fee, off of the cruise price. Way more money off of alcohol sales. So they're selling alcohol on the cruise ships. Let me tell you what she says here. The family of the woman who fell overboard during a Royal Caribbean Taylor Swift themed cruise is now suing the cruise line for allegedly over-serving alcohol. Now, this happened on October. Her name was Dulcie White, and she went overboard on October 22nd of 2024 while on the Allure of the Seas, which was in the Bahamas during a 5-day cruise. Okay, 66-year-old woman, and her body has never been found after she went overboard, which is unfortunately what happens the majority of times when people go overboard. Now, in this lawsuit, which was filed in the Southern District of Florida on October 28th, the recent October 28th, White's family accused Royal Caribbean crew of causing the accident. They're saying it's their fault. It's Royal Caribbean crew's fault that this happened. They claim she had been served at least 7 alcoholic beverages continuously within a span of approximately 6 hours and 8 minutes. Okay. I'm going to hold my thought on that. Let me continue to read. The lawsuit further revealed that White was swaying, stammering, slurring her speech, had alcohol on her breath, couldn't keep her composure straight, had glassy eyes while she was in plain view of the crew members. They further say each of the crew members were negligent for continuing to serve her alcoholic beverages in her intoxicated state. A witness on board the ship said they noticed White was clearly intoxicated around 7:30 p.m., although she was brought back to her cabin shortly after she went overboard in direct view of her daughter that evening. So unfortunately, her daughter saw her go overboard. That's terrible. Now, this is what the family says. Because of that drink package, Dulcie did overdo it, trying to maybe get her money's worth, Dulcie's daughter states. She was completely intoxicated in a way I haven't seen before. It saddens me that this is my last memory of my mother. Yeah. Okay. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah. Similar to a bar on land, there's some type of law, some type of rule that bartenders, if they see that you are visibly intoxicated to a certain point, that they have to stop. I think that's the rule. They have to stop serving you alcohol. Well, the laws on land do not directly coordinate to laws at sea, because these ships aren't like American ships, although they serve us in and out of America. They fly a flag under a different nation, country, whatever. And if you purchase the drink package, all of them are different, but there's a certain amount of, there's a certain number of drinks that go with that package. You can have this many, that many. And I guess if, they'll serve you that many, even if you're intoxicated. I've never had a drink package. I don't know. I would love to know your feedback on this one. What do you think? This is, I don't know. This is a terrible, because I don't really drink like that. I can't see myself getting there. If I start to feel weird, I said this before, I don't want to be out of control to a point that I don't know what I'm doing. It's not fun to me. I don't want that. So if I start to feel that way, I'm through. And I'm usually through at 2 drinks. I don't think I've ever had 2 straight drinks because I start to feel a certain way. But many other people can drink much more than that. They're okay drinking 3, 4, 5, 6 drinks. I don't know what the numbers are just sitting here. I have to research it, but like 15 drinks on one, or some are unlimited. Should they stop serving you if they see that you are visibly, intoxicated to a point where you can't keep yourself, I believe that some do that. But here's the thing. I've heard about them being sued, or, flack, or, strongly worded comments for doing that as well. Somebody was like, I paid for the drink package and they cut me off after 10 drinks. How dare you? You can't win for losing. Now, this woman died. So this is a horrible tragedy. And I'll always state that a loss of life is a horrible tragedy, especially in an accident like this, that it didn't have to happen. And then her daughter watched it. I can't even imagine. I would love to know your thoughts on this. Yeah. Have you ever been to the point where you're like, I've overdone it. I need to go somewhere and lay down? Yeah, that's a terrible tragedy. Terrible tragedy. I don't know. Like I said, in the cruise contract, it's very specific about this very thing. So I'm sure they have really good lawyers who are working to get this lawsuit together. They're saying it's Royal Caribbean's negligence. I'm just not sure that that's going to fly. But of course, if you don't try, you'll never know. This is a very tragic story, and I hate to hear that. So that is happening there for Royal Caribbean. Let me tell you some more of the 5 things that can ruin your cruise. So we've talked about port excursions. We've talked about forgetting to shut your phone off. We've talked about booking the cheapest cabin. Now we're going to talk about This one that I have always cautioned people, the pre-trip travel time bomb. And what's going on right now in the country, you'll understand what I mean. Not flying in at least one day before your trip. Yeah. It's just a no. It's a hard no, an absolute no to fly in the day of. I don't care if that ship leaves at 8 at night and your flight will get there at 6 in the morning. I'm not doing it. There is just too much that can and does go wrong. It's just too much. Too many things. Look at what's going on in our country now, which, oh gosh, and I'm with them. If you're not going to pay me, I'm not going to work. This is no freebie. So things happen all the time, accidents, unexpected things, weather, too many things can happen. So it's just a matter of good practice. Get there. Get your trip started early. And I know sometimes people are like, I can't take another day off. I have many things to say about that because I work outside of this as well. I have a boss who approves my time. I get you. That is part of my cruise. The day before, and a lot of times the day after. I'm not going to put myself through that undue stress. I've done it before and I vowed never again. I don't want to be stressed for my vacation. I've waited too long, I've paid too much, and it doesn't last long enough that I'm not serving 1 minute of being stressed about it. So go the day before. It says one minor flight delay, bad traffic, lost luggage means you missed the boat. The cruise ship will not wait unless you booked a cruise line transfer, which you can do. I can talk more about that. Forcing you to spend thousands on new flights and hotels just to catch up to the next port. It's just not worth it. Fly in that day before, or at least a day before. Sometimes if it's a place where you want to visit, like if you're headed out to New York and maybe you want to visit New York and see some things, fly in 2 or 3 days before, but just don't wait till that day, the day of, to fly in. It's too much pressure. Don't do it. Don't do it. I have another cruise news story to share with you before I get to the I think I have one more of the worst mistakes to share with you. Okay, here's the cruise news story, and I'm super excited about this because it has to do with Royal Caribbean and their Icon class ship. Have you been on an Icon class ship? Most people have, and I still have not. So I am looking forward to getting on one. But I have been so busy getting on other ships. But here we go. Royal Caribbean just released its new lineup of year-round Caribbean cruises for 3 Florida ports for the 2027-2028 cruise season. So like I told you, we're already on to 27 with these cruise lines. And one popular cruise ship was noticeably absent. So they listed all these cruises out of Florida, and you look down the list, and that one ship that you think would be there was not there. And that was the Icon of the Seas. The first in Royal Caribbean's revolutionary Icon class, the Icon of the Seas, has sailed 7-night Caribbean cruises from Miami since it first launched back in January of 2024. The ship's absence from the latest deployment release could mean that this iconic ship won't be running from Miami anymore for the 2027 spring season. So where could the Icon of the Seas be headed to? And then what ship would be in its place in Miami? Well, there's speculation because nothing has been confirmed yet, but the president of Royal Caribbean has stated over and over that an Icon class ship is coming to Galveston. Yay! And we're waiting for it. So Galveston is the 4th most popular cruise port in the US, after all those Florida ones. So in 2022, the cruise line opened a new Galveston cruise terminal designed to accommodate the largest ships in its fleet, and that does include the Icon and Oasis class vessels. So we are speculating heavy that the Icon of the Seas will be headed to right here in good old heart of Texas, down in Galveston. I can hop my butt on an Icon class ship without having to take a flight. I would love that. I would love that. This latest deployment release could move it to Galveston in the spring of not 26, of 27. But they're wondering what would replace it there in Miami. We're not quite sure what ship would replace it in Miami just yet. There is, of course, the Star of the Seas coming out, so that they could do a lot of things. They won't keep a gap there in Miami for very long, the largest cruise port in the world. They're going to absolutely put something there. We can only speculate because new ships are being built continually. But I do believe that Icon will be coming to Galveston, Texas. Any of you agree with me? Do any of you care? I live in Texas, so I am very excited and looking forward to the Icon class ship coming here. I'm going to circle back when I find out, and I'll let you know if my speculation is true because I really do think that it is. I really do think so. I am looking forward to that. 2027, it seems like it's a long way away. It'll be here before we know it. And I will be booked on an Icon class ship out of Texas. You can guarantee. Okay. What's another one? Here's a really big one. And as a travel advisor, I see this all the time and way too often. You know, years ago, this used to be a lot closer to being true, but not anymore. And that is thinking that once you book that trip, that cruise, you're finished paying, that it's an all inclusive experience. And it's just not true, especially nowadays. Assuming that the quoted cruise fare covers everything and you don't budget for other things like the drink package if you want to get that, the Wi-Fi, gratuities, excursions. Once you pay for that cruise, you're not finished paying. You're just not. Unless you're on one of the ultra luxury lines, Regent Seven Seas or something of that nature. It comes all inclusive. And I mean, they even still have extras and additional, things that you can add to it. But your cheap cruise ends up costing hundreds, if not thousands, more due to high costs like the daily gratuities, and things like specialty coffee, pops if you drink that, surprise fees, things like on-demand movies, activities, getting a massage. All of these things add up. You're not finished paying for that cruise once you pay for the cruise fare. So remember, this is not the all-inclusive. Years ago, it was closer to it. But as we've moved further and further after the pandemic, it's just not that anymore. So you have to make sure you budget for those extras. Don't think it's all inclusive. Okay. I have hit all of my cruise news for this evening, and I have also given you. Did everybody give me those thumbs up and likes before you get out of this house, before you leave my house? Tap down on those hearts, tap down on those likes, give me some thumbs up. I need that. I need that. I thank you for joining me this evening for Tuesday Night Live. I'm here on Tuesdays doing this. I think I'll continue to do both of my TikTok. I see those hearts as well as YouTube. I'm really excited that you're here with me. Don't forget to check out my TikTok shop and check out the cruise essentials. But the holidays are coming up, so there's all kind of great Christmas deals. Check them out. Check them out. All right. I thank you so much for joining me tonight. That is it for our cruise news. Check out Right Recipe for Travel. I have all kinds of travel cruise videos, news, packing. Check it out. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.